I haven't heard your voice in years, but my heart still has conversations with you every day.
Defendant serve a term of life without parole as to count 4 for the offense of attempted murder.
Put those hollow point bullets in there, and you could do a lot of damage and killing with that gun. And that's exactly what you did. An 80-year-old man that you already hit with a .40 caliber round, you hunted him down in cold blood. The court is going to impose the most significant sentence allowed under Michigan law: life without the possibility of parole.
He walked into the courtroom with a blank expression, but the silence didn't last. Moments later, his chest began to heave. His eyes darted around the room, avoiding the faces of the grieving families, especially the mother of 22-year-old Portia Brooks, who had waited nearly a year to see justice served for her daughter. The judge hadn't even spoken yet. As the charges were read aloud, the murder of Portia Brooks and the attempted murder of her boyfriend, Aaron Martin, his composure crumbled. His knees gave out. Officers rushed forward, not to protect him, but to keep him from hitting the floor. Right there, in front of the people whose lives he shattered, the man responsible collapsed, shaking, sobbing, and completely undone. But why now? He didn't flinch when he was arrested. He didn't blink during the investigation. And through every day of the trial, not a single tear. So what changed? This case isn't just about a crime. It's about guilt, timing, and a courtroom breakdown that left even the court staff stunned. Welcome to Psycho Crimes, where we dive deep into the world's most chilling criminal acts, unsolved disappearances, disturbing confessions, and the minds that commit them. From cold cases to courtroom confessions, we uncover the truths that others fear to touch. If you're new here, subscribe, tap that like button, and let's unravel the tragedy of Portia Brooks and the moment her killer finally broke. The grief that followed Portia Brooks' death was overwhelming.
Mentally, emotionally, he killed my identity as a mother of 3, as a family of 4.
But it wasn't the only thing the Brooks family had to contend with. For nearly 2 years after the crime, there was an additional weight: the lingering uncertainty. The killers were still at large, and the search for answers seemed endless. During this time, Aaron Martin, who had survived the attack, was left to grapple with his own struggles. Shot in the head, Aaron carried with him not only the physical reminders of that night. He was permanently scarred by the bullet lodged in his brain, but also the emotional burden of losing someone he loved so deeply. While he fought for his own survival, the sense of helplessness weighed heavily on him as well. How could anyone move on from something so devastating? The police investigation went cold, leaving the family to wonder if justice would ever be served. The family held on to the hope that eventually, the pieces of the puzzle would come together. They refused to let go of their belief that the people responsible for Portia's death would be held accountable. The Brooks family's tireless pursuit for justice would be the driving force that kept the case alive in the community's consciousness. The breakthrough came in the form of an anonymous tip, a crucial piece of information that led authorities down a new path. After nearly 2 years of dead ends, the case finally gained traction. The Norwood Police Department, with the help of the Southwest Ohio Violent Crimes Task Force, arrested Jaleel Smith Riley and 2 other suspects. For the first time since the tragic night, it seemed like justice was finally within reach. But even then, the path to justice was not smooth. Smith Riley initially pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and attempted murder. Yet, despite the evidence, he tried to withdraw his plea, throwing the case into further uncertainty. His attempt to delay the legal process only added to the pain and frustration of the Brooks family, who had already endured so much. The prolonged legal battle only deepened the emotional wounds they were trying to heal. The guilt that Smith Riley must have felt, if he felt any at all, came too late. By the time the truth was revealed, it was clear that the damage was irreversible. Portia's death could not be undone, and the pain that the Brooks family had lived with for nearly 2 years could not be erased by any confession or apology. The sense of justice was bittersweet, offering a small sense of closure, but it could not bring back the vibrant woman who had been taken from them so violently. As for Aaron, the emotional scars were just as deep as the physical ones. While his survival was a miracle, he would never be the same. His grief was compounded by the feeling of guilt. Why had he survived when Portia hadn't? It was a question that haunted him, and one that he would carry with him for the rest of his life. For the Brooks family, justice could never fully heal the wounds left by Portia's death. The guilt came too late, the confessions offered little solace, and the years of uncertainty were a heavy burden to bear. But in the end, they found a sense of peace in knowing that Portia's story would not be forgotten, that her family's relentless pursuit of justice had finally brought accountability, even if it could never undo the tragedy. It was a typical evening in Norwood, Ohio, a quiet suburban town where Portia Brooks and her boyfriend, Aaron Martin, had just settled into a routine that felt safe and normal. The two were parked in Portia's car outside Aaron's home on Carthage Avenue, sharing a moment of peace, not knowing that this was about to become the night that would forever alter their lives. The unassuming scene quickly shifted when three men approached the car. One of them, later identified as Jaleel Smith Riley, was carrying a gun. He tapped on the passenger side window, signaling that something was about to go terribly wrong. Portia and Aaron's immediate response was to comply, but the situation quickly escalated. Aaron, in an effort to diffuse the tension, got out of the car. He tried to talk to the men, but there was no negotiation to be had. The request was simple: money. The problem was that neither Aaron nor Portia had any to offer. In an instant, a harmless encounter turned into a fatal confrontation. Smith Riley pulled the trigger. The sound of gunfire echoed through the street as Aaron was struck in the head. Portia, who had remained in the car, was hit as well. The violence came out of nowhere, and the brutality of it left no room for anything but chaos. Aaron, despite being critically wounded, managed to survive, though his injuries would remain with him for the rest of his life. The bullet lodged in his brain, leaving him with permanent medical challenges and emotional scars. But it was Portia who paid the ultimate price, her life snuffed out in an instant by a senseless crime that had no provocation and no reason. The attack, described as a crime of opportunity, sent shockwaves through the local community. This was no random altercation. It was a brutal act carried out by individuals with no regard for human life.
There was a guy outside of the car who looked like he was bleeding from multiple spots. There's a lady in it, and she's bleeding.
For nearly 2 years, the crime remained unsolved, a cold case that tormented the Brooks family. In those years, Portia's parents, Thomas and Sharon Brooks, fought tirelessly to keep their daughter's case alive. They printed flyers, canvassed neighborhoods, and made countless appeals for help. Every day was a struggle, each one spent in a state of disbelief and heartbreak. The community's response was a testament to their perseverance, with many rallying behind the Brooks family to ensure that justice would eventually come. The breakthrough came unexpectedly, a tip that would eventually lead police to Jaleel Smith Riley and 2 other suspects. Smith Riley's arrest and the subsequent confessions of him and his accomplices finally brought the case to a close. But for the Brooks family, the damage had already been done. Following his arrest, Smith Riley initially pleaded not guilty to the charges. However, in a significant development, he later changed his plea to guilty, admitting to 1 count of aggravated murder and 1 count of attempted murder.
He killed me mentally, emotionally. He killed my identity as a mother of 3, as a family of 4. This is what I have left because of his greed, his selfishness, his complete disregard of and disrespect of others and life. This is what I have left. I talk to her, I kiss her, I hold her. But as you can see, I get nothing back except the reality that she is gone.
This plea deal removed the possibility of the death penalty, a decision that elicited mixed reactions from the victims' families. The courtroom was filled with palpable tension as family members of both victims prepared to address the court. Sharon Brooks brought a deeply personal touch to the proceedings by bringing her daughter's ashes to the courtroom, a poignant reminder of the life that had been lost. During the sentencing hearing, Smith Riley made a dramatic attempt to withdraw his guilty plea, a move that surprised even his own attorneys. He expressed remorse, stating, "I'm so sorry. I made a mistake." And pleaded for a chance to go
serve a
home
term
one
of
day.
life without
However,
parole
Judge Charles
as to
Kubicki
count
Jr.
for
denied the request,
for the offense
emphasizing
of
the
attempted
severity
murder,
of the crimes committed.
violation.
As Judge Kubicki delivered the sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole, Smith Riley collapsed in the courtroom, overcome with emotion.
Parole.
He wants parole. Well, I want my sister. Let's trade. I have to deal with life without Portia,
Deputies
so he
assisted
should deal
him
with
back
life
to his feet,
without,
but the
without
moment
parole.
underscored the gravity of the proceedings. Family members of the victims addressed the court, sharing the profound impact the crime had on their lives. Portia Brooks, Portia's sister, implored the judge to impose the maximum sentence, stating, "I have to deal with life without Portia, so he should deal with life without parole." Aaron Martin, who survived the shooting but sustained a gunshot wound to the head, spoke about the lasting effects of the incident. He shared that his dreams of becoming a firefighter were no longer attainable due to his injuries, saying, "I can accomplish certain things, but I have to change my goals to accommodate how I am right now." The sentencing marked a significant milestone in the Brooks family's long journey toward justice. Sharon Brooks reflected on the enduring pain of losing her daughter, recalling the moment she said goodbye. "When I laid in bed with her, laid my head on her chest as she took her last breath and listened to her heart fade until she was gone." While the legal proceedings brought a sense of closure, the emotional scars remain. Sharon Brooks acknowledged the need to focus on healing, stating, "Portia would want me to accept what it is and to be able to put this part of our journey to rest and focus on the next part, which is healing." The impact of Portia's murder and the subsequent legal proceedings went beyond just the immediate family and community. The case became part of a broader conversation about the unpredictability of violent crime, the importance of justice for victims, and the need for proactive measures to prevent similar tragedies. By sharing her story, the Brooks family helped to raise awareness about the emotional and societal costs of senseless violence, encouraging communities across the country to come together in support of victims and their families. The lasting legacy of Portia Brooks is a reminder that every life has value and that no one should have to endure the heartbreak of losing a loved one to random acts of violence. Through the pain and suffering of her death, Portia's spirit continues to inspire change, urging us all to be vigilant, compassionate, and committed to justice.